Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Running Your Best Life. I'm your host, Victor Vizcaino, and with me is my co host, Adele. Hi,
Hello, hello.
great. And today we're going to talk about a little bit of recap on
Mhm.
a race that I did with my client, Crystal. It was the Walla Walla, Washington Olympic Distance Triathlon. And
Wow.
she is getting ready for her first Ironman 70.3 in Coeur
Okay.
d'Alene, Idaho, which is going to be on June 21st. So
Right,
we're getting really
right,
close,
right.
and she's making a lot of progress. And I am working really close with her. And today, that's what we're going to talk about. Some of the things that we
Right.
learned in on this weekend practicing with the race.
I think it's a great idea because if y'all remember, Crystal did the half Ironman distance back in April on the 11th, which was her birthday, in that incredibly horrible weather. The freezing wind and rain that Victor was side by side with her through that choppy water and the bike and the run. So her experience now and her training has progressed even more. So but there was a lot to learn from this event because the water was cold, the weather conditions were so much better, so you were able to really manipulate the bike and the run a little bit differently. But let's go ahead and start with what you think are some of the biggest things that y'all experienced and you learned from giving this another training event.
Okay. Well, let me start off by saying that she's very meticulous with her nutrition. So that
Right,
is pretty
right.
well dialed in. She
Okay.
prepares really well. She knows exactly what nutrition she's going to take and the nutrition that I'm going to take with me.
Okay.
So we've got that part really well. So if somebody is trying to prepare, make sure you have that dialed in as well for
Good.
a triathlon, really well dialed in. What are you going to consume? Where are you going to prepare it? Because, for example, with us, it's water bottles on your bike, and you can't really fill them up because you're traveling. At least we could, and we put those bikes in the truck, and then they start to spill. So you
Right.
put them empty. I use the water bottles that go on the aero bars.
Right.
So I don't even put those on until I get to the race. Put those water
Okay.
bottles, but we prepare them that morning and just fill up the water bottles in the morning when we're already in
Okay.
corral before
Right. I,
the
I think
race.
that's a great tip because two reasons. One, if your bike's on a rack in the back or even sitting in a truck on a rack, anything on that bike is available to the elements. You know,
Yeah,
you get some wind and rain, it's blowing off this, it's blowing off that, your little packs that you've got set up for your bike. It's really smart. Keep it in a bag, keep it in a little box, keep it together with your drinks that are prepared, and then just load everything up when you're actually putting your bike on the road, ready to rock and roll. I learned that the hard the hard way too, not by myself because I don't. Excuse me, I don't like my stuff on the bike unless I'm getting ready to get on it. But when your pack gets wet and your nutrition is in there, or any of your tools, if you get a flat or any other issues with your bike, a lot of times if it gets wet and it doesn't have to, things aren't going to work well. Your nutrition is going to get soggy. You may not be able to get the benefit of it. So, y'all, that's a great point, Victor. I'm so glad you said that because I do that
yes.
all the time. Wait for
And
that. Yes.
for the Ironman brand, you actually check in your bike the day before, and
Oh,
they
that's
tell you,
right.
yeah,
Okay.
and they tell you don't leave any food on the bikes because of the animals as well. You know, you
Right.
don't want the squirrels going in and eating your nutrition. Mm,
My little waffles.
yeah, so that's another something to keep in mind. And
Right.
you'll have
Right.
all your bike there, and then you take the next morning. You take the stuff that you're going to fill up your water bottles with.
Right.
Rack.
And just put it there. Good tip. Very good tip.
And checking your, at the last minute before you go in the water, check that your air in your tires is there. Ours, I filled them up before right when I unloaded them off the truck, I pumped the air in the bikes, but somehow by the time we got out of the water, Crystal's tire was they deflated.
Oh, wow.
So I think
Okay.
that if But we were there for quite a while before the
Right,
start of the race. I probably could have noticed, hey, your air's going down. Let's get that taken care of.
right,
So
right,
another thing to keep in mind that before you start your swim, check that your the air in your tires is still filled up.
right. We're talking a little bit about equipment. When you're in the transition period from coming, you're in the water for swimming, you come to your transition spot, all your equipment is lined up. I know there's a delicate, very routine way that y'all like to place everything, knowing how you're going to transition and make it efficient and quick, but also have everything you need. What is one of the best suggestions other than checking the tires, shoes? Do you put socks? Do you change a shirt or throw something else on? Do you grab a hat or a visor to protect you on the bike? You obviously have your helmet. What some of the things besides the air in the bike that would be something to consider as a quick tip that we might not think about until we make the mistake of not doing it? Like we have to have our number or our chip or all that stuff, which is something you forgot once before. We talked about that. Anything else that we should remember to do? Put it on like a checklist.
I think that you'll probably get a checklist. Everybody should have a checklist of everything they have
Okay.
to have. The only thing that is going to really help you now that you have your checklist is putting it in the order that you're going to put it,
Okay.
and that you rehearsed it. And it's
Okay.
not a lot of people say, no, I don't need to rehearse it because I'm not going to be in a hurry. I say rehearse it just for the calmness of it, because
Right. Right.
the last thing you want is you get ready to mount your bike and somebody says, hey, you forgot your helmet.
Yeah. There
or
you go.
or you forgot your bib, or something
Right.
important that you missed, and now you got to go back, or it's going to bother you because you're used to having your gloves, and now it's going to affect your mind because you forgot your gloves. Little things
Right.
like that. And
Right.
so the best thing to do is rehearse in the order that you're going to put the stuff on and have it lined up that way. So when you're coming out of the water, you have it lined up to where you're going to put your gloves, helmet, glasses, whatever order you're going to do it. In this
Right.
particular race, what I learned is that my dexterity was gone, my hands were
Okay.
numb. So keep that in mind in the way you put your order the things. What's going to help you put your socks and shoes on when your hands are not responding
Right.
as well?
Right.
If it's
Right.
Ironman, they usually have volunteers because I've done this before where I just ask for help and say, "Hey, can you
Right.
help me put my shoes on?" And they'll help you.
Right. Well, the other thing too is most of the time you're in a wetsuit and you do need help just stripping that down, right?
Yes. Again, the Ironman brand does have, and they had actually strippers at
Okay.
this one too.
There you go. Strippers at the race, y'all. That's enough to pay your entry. There you go, right there.
Yes, and they do help a lot. And the Ironman brand, they just have a lot more of them. So as soon as
Right.
you
Right.
you what you can do is start taking your wetsuit halfway off before
Right.
anything else. So this is what I recommend before you start taking your goggles and things. Take your wetsuit down to your
Okay.
waist, and then
Okay.
take your cap, or even wait until they
Right.
strip
Right.
off your wetsuit, and then grab them and carry them. That way, you have your hands free in case you need them.
And usually your tri suit is underneath your wetsuit. Is that the routine that you
Yes,
usually like? Okay.
that's the ideal way for saving time.
Right. Right.
Especially Crystal's trying to make some strict cutoff times. And at first, when she came to me, she was saying, no, I don't want to be wet.
Mhm.
I want to put, she has to use compressions for her
Right.
condition. And
Right.
it's like, no, that's going to take way too much time for you
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
start putting that stuff on. So she's been practicing with everything underneath her wetsuits already there.
Good. Good. And I think that's the key for most people. I mean, it's like running your first race or walking your first race with friends. You forget things because you haven't done it before, and then you'll never forget it again because you only have to forget once. But I think the key, and I've learned this from friends that do so many triathlon events, that tri suit is very important on how it fits as well. Am I right?
Yes,
You
extremely.
don't want anything that's going to really, chafe. I mean, because we're all going to use the body glide type, the hoo ha glides. We're all going to have that, which is another key point of your equipment. I'll let Victor address that a little bit more in the Ironman arena. But anything on that tri suit that catches anything is going to be uncomfortable if it's too tight, if it's too
Yeah.
much on your chest and you can't breathe as you get into that bike and you get into the, it takes energy, y'all. So the key that I'm bringing this up so Victor can address it is you want your things to fit properly for you to have your best performance, right? If you need that sports bra because you have those extra bosoms, you want something that's going to be comfortable under the material of that tri suit. If it doesn't have something that you can build into it, because you're going to be stripping down a wetsuit, you're going to be using stuff to protect from chafing, you're going to be putting I'm assuming the little socks are much more thinner when you use shoes with clips. You really want to rehearse that, and that's the key of practice and rehearse your transition. So I'm gonna let Victor address the concept of the tri-suit. I'll let him explain it to you and how you really do want that to fit around your upper body because you're going to be hunched on your bike for so much time, and then upper body when you're fluid motion when you're running. So
Yeah.
address some of that if you don't mind, Victor.
I think you hit in the nail. It has to be comfortable. You have to be able to, if you're doing a 56-mile bike ride, be able to do 56 miles comfortably.
Right.
So, again, the same rule as the marathons, never nothing new on race day. So,
Right.
by the time race day come, you should have gotten that dialed in to what feels comfortable
Right.
and what you're going to wear. Um, yeah, and don't try anything new because you said it could be the littlest thing that you
Right.
missed where something rubbed the wrong way and now it's going to be uncomfortable and
Right.
you be bothered by it.
Right. And you can cut your tags off the back of your tri-suit, y'all. If the tag's gonna itch on your neck, the last thing you want to do is be in mile 121 and like, oh my gosh, I'm just like raw from the tag. Don't do it. Cut the tag off. Use some chafing cream there so it doesn't rub. That's going to be one of those seams, especially for our ladies and our men around the nipple area for our men. You don't want to get that rawness because you do have to run a half marathon or a full marathon, but you don't want that rawness around the seams of a bra or the straps of anything that you have. Y'all, we've been there before. Anything on your shorts, rub things around it. Make sure
Yeah.
you have things comfortable for yourselves. And then on your feet, do you use any kind of powder or any kind of glide type before you put your
Yeah.
socks on? Do you suggest
No, I actually use body glide
excuse
on
me.
the ankles to get the wetsuit off easier. So I've
Okay.
seen a lot of people. There is a lot of tricks. Um, if you have a new wetsuit and they're delicate, so you want to make sure that you don't put your nails on them, so you don't put holes.
Excuse me.
So wear
Yes.
wear like those cloth gloves to protect them.
Okay.
Other thing is you can put a bag on your feet and put your wetsuit with the glove on so that your feet goes right in. So
Oh
you have
wow.
you're not strict by time when you're putting it on. So take your
Okay.
time putting on your wetsuit, but that's one good way of doing it. I've seen a lot of people do spray Pam on themselves or
Oh
other
yeah. Yeah.
tools that
Yeah.
make it easy for the
Yeah.
wet.
Yeah. That might not sound very entertaining, but I'm sure it is.
Yeah, and body glide would work just as good if you put
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
body glide in the ankles, on the wrists, because a lot of times you'll have your sports watch, so making sure
Right.
that
Right.
it's going to come off your sports watch.
Right.
One of the things that I think is very important to mention that I feel a lot of people have had a lot of trouble in cold water. I think I mentioned this
Mm.
before, but every race I've been, including this last one, in Walla Walla, the water temperature was 57 degrees and
That's
people were
cold.
struggling.
That's
It is
cold.
very
Yeah.
cold enough that my hands were numb, my feet were numb. One of the things that you can wear is booties on your feet. There,
Yes.
suit
Yes.
booties. I recommend those because at least when you get on the bike, they won't be numb.
Okay, right,
Mm.
right, right, right.
Uh,
That's a great idea. A lot of people wouldn't think about that because basically you have your bare feet hanging out the ankle part of your tri suit of your wetsuit to kick. right? You want that buoyancy to kick. But the booties can be made, and I have some that I use with my fins, different thicknesses depending on, I don't want something too thick because then it'll will cut some around the edges of the fins that fit on my feet. But you can get some that are thin that still give you that momentum on the kick, correct? Because you without preventing that kind of balance or that smoothness.
Yeah, as long as it's not like, as long as they are just made to keep your feet warm,
Right,
uh,
right,
not an advantage. They look like fins because then you might get into the prohibited
right,
part, and they have to be allowed. And I think it's, if it's cold, they're gonna allow the booties. So you just
right.
make sure that when you're race day and ask if those are allowed or not.
Okay.
The other thing is, the number one thing is to be acclimated to cold water.
Yes,
And the way
yes,
you can
yes,
do that
yes.
is to go practice in those waters. If you know it's going to be cold, go in cold water. If I've been to races where they didn't allow you to go on the day of the race, get in the water to warm up.
Okay, okay,
And so my advice is, if you're at a hotel or at home, run cold water in the bathtub and acclimate that way. So just to take the shock. So before you leave the hotel or the room that very morning, get in the tub and blow bubbles, relax in cold water so that your body's not in shock when you go to the
right.
race. It's very important because I just see
Okay.
every time people go into shock. We had at least between 5 and 10 people get pulled out of the water because they were in shock when they got out of the water.
Get pulled out of the water, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I think your screen froze a little bit. There we go. Here, we got him back. We got him back now, y'all. We got him back.
Hope we make it through this.
Yes, we will. We just had a little bit of a freeze right there. It happens. It's technology. But I think what Victor was saying before we had that little glitch, they pulled 5 or 10 people out of the water. They were struggling. And whatever reason they were struggling, they just, for safety reasons, the race personnel pulled them out so that there wouldn't be an issue or potential danger to those particular participants. The biggest thing I think Victor really wants to stress to y'all is when you acclimate your body to the colder temperatures, you have a wetsuit on, you've got your tri suit underneath, you've got all your preparations done. You cannot change anything that that water affects while you're in that water. And I think the biggest thing, I'm going to have Victor address it. You're constantly in, for that time that you're swimming, you're in that water temperature. You have to find a way to warm your body up, eliminate some of the numbness, as Victor said he experienced recently. Get the feet warmer, get all of your extremities warmer as you're going through your transition, because then you'll be able to perform as best you can on that bike as your body starts to warm up. So acclimating to cold temperatures, what other suggestions would you have if you can get into the water
Yeah, so
either
those
the
are
day
the number
before,
one.
whatever, okay?
In the water, we got in the water the day before. Then we got
Okay.
in the water minutes before, because a lot of people avoided it. A lot of,
Mhm.
because it is cold. It's like, I'm not getting in the cold water until I have to. Well, by then sometimes it's too late.
Right, right, right,
So
right.
get in the cold water the night before. Get in the cold water. They allow you to go minutes before the race to get into and acclimate.
Okay,
Do that. Um,
okay,
Another one I would suggest, if it's cold outside, because this one wasn't too cold outside, but it was a little bit windy. So if it's
okay,
cold outside, then you want to keep your body warm by drinking warm water,
okay,
or some kind of warm liquid
okay.
that you're used to. You want to, again, you don't want to
Right,
try anything new, but if you're used to drinking tea, then maybe warm tea before the
right,
race. Uh,
right.
and if not, just warm water instead of cold water, because people try to stay hydrated. But I think that if they have ice water, it's going to accelerate your hypothermia, or
Right,
your
right, right,
of your body, and start
right.
shivering, because that's what happened. It happened a little bit with me after I got out of the water.
Okay.
I, shaking uncontrollably with the ship,
Ah,
and
yeah,
that is. So I thought next time I am drinking a bunch of warm water way
yeah.
before the race, and just throughout before the race, drink warm water. I was on the bike. and I was trying to catch up to Crystal, so I'm accelerating, and my bike is shaking because my body is just shivering.
Hey, that's unusual for you because you're very good at controlling yourself on the bike. You're used to that. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. So I got a question on that to follow up on that. When you're feeling that uncomfortable, because it's an uncomfortable feeling to try to now transition into to cycling, how long did it take you to really feel like you were back in the position you wanted to be in, where you felt a little warmer, you felt a little steadier, your cadence, the way you were pedaling, the way you were controlling your bike and your body position. How long did it actually take you? Did it take you anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes till you felt a little bit
About
better?
10 minutes. It was pretty quick.
Okay.
It was just the wind was a little cold, but the
Okay.
sun was out, so it
Okay.
wasn't super cold. I've been in other races where it is cold outside. It takes you a lot longer because it is cold and it's windy. And I took my jacket with me. So
Okay. Okay. Okay.
so we
Okay.
were kind of prepared for being cold
Okay.
once we got out of the water. And what was nice, it's a Olympic distance, so it's only 25 miles. So we
Okay.
were okay taking our jackets with us.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And just being prepared. Y'all be prepared. That's basically the message is be prepared. Okay, so let me ask you this. You're in your transition from your swim to your bike. You're now on the bike. How do you feel? Your legs are underneath you. You're getting that kind of nice rhythm on the breathing. You're focusing on the road ahead. What things should we be aware of that can interfere with that sense of comfort? Is there anything besides wind, besides rain, besides a very uneven terrain of the street? Anything else that we can give some tips to our listeners for the bike?
Say keeping your bike straight.
Okay.
Sometimes we feel a rhythm. I see a lot of people trying to do this
Okay.
bike thing, and then the bike is swaying.
Okay.
You're That spends a little more energy
Right.
if you keep it straight and keep that controlled circles on pedaling.
Good.
Mm,
Okay.
In the case of this Olympic distance that we were doing, I was trying to stay with Crystal, so I stood with her and kind of just make my observations of how she's doing. She's working on her cadence, so that's the other thing that you can do if
Cadence.
you are
Right.
a beginner. And in a case like her, she's a beginner cyclist. She's still trying to get her speed up so that she can make the cutoff time. So she's working on keeping that high cadence
Okay.
with a
Okay.
lower gear, which is very difficult for some people that are new into cycling. They feel more comfortable riding on a bigger gear, even though
Okay.
their legs are small, but you're spending more energy that way.
And the reason for that is the tension is harder when you're in that particular
Yeah,
gear.
since
You,
it's higher,
right.
and so it
Okay.
uses your quads, it uses a lot of your bigger muscles. Whereas
Right.
when you're having a lower gear, it's more just speed and keeping those fast twitching muscle active, but
Okay.
they don't. It's saving the legs for the run.
Right, because obviously that's the most impact the legs and the body are going to feel, that the constant step, the constant shift of the weight from one side of the body to the other. For 10K was the other, it was the race distance, but half marathon or marathon distance as well. So regarding the gears, with new kind of novice cyclists, with a coach is going to be able to help someone understand how to use their gears properly and efficiently, correct? Depending on the terrain of the race. So when you describe lower gear, what do you actually mean on that, Victor? Because you said lower, and what was the other one, smaller or bigger? What were the other terms you used?
Yeah, with a slower gear, with a lower gear, higher cadence. So you're
Okay,
spinning your legs a lot longer. With a
okay,
higher gear, you're gonna probably spin slower with a novice cyclist. But what we try to do is get the same cadence whether you're on a lower gear or a higher gear.
okay.
But of course, sometimes it's not possible. If you're going up a hill, you're
Right.
probably gonna go lower. But learning to shift and the proper gear, being in the proper gear. mm, Learning your big ring, your small ring in the front, lower,
Okay.
and how they're asked. Because a new cyclists will sometimes go extreme on where you're high on the big ring and you're on the big ring on the backside, so your
Okay.
chain is a little bit crossed.
Okay, is that higher, more intense tension?
That would be what that person is doing is they're using the high gear in the front, but a low gear in the back. That's
Okay,
extreme, and you don't want you want it to be. In that case, you'd rather go on the smaller ring in the front and maybe somewhere in the middle, but not do not cross that in those extremes
okay, okay.
because it's putting too much tension on the bike. And what will happen sometimes when they go to shift, it'll knock the chain off.
True, true,
So
true.
just being aware. What I do is like I'll ride next to Crystal and I'll tell her you're on and tell her where she's at when she's doing the gear. You're on the big ring, but you're also on the big ring in the back. So
Right,
go to
right,
the lower ring in the front and maybe somewhere in the middle and see how that feels.
right. And I think the other point is too, with learning how to use your gears to your advantage, when you're doing downhills as well as hill climbs, any kind of incline, you have to push harder. So and and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Victor, because you're much more experienced at hills and the cycling gears and changing them to be effective. I find when I really want to go fast down a tunnel or down a hill, I change my gears a little bit. It's not like I'm pedaling without tension, but I want to be able to pedal so that I have that energy to go up. And
Oh, yeah,
of course you can,
momentum.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, you definitely want to do that. And the other thing, because triathlons might be a little bit different, that the athletes trying to save their legs for the
right.
run. So that's the always the premise is like you want to have those legs for the run. So anything to conserve energy, but uh, just I don't recommend just not pedaling, just staying on arrow and uh, cruising without some kind of movement
Right,
because you want to keep those legs loose. So even
right,
if you are going on a downhill and maybe you do coast for a little bit, but then spin those legs just to so that they don't stay non-active.
right. One of the things I do, especially because you want to make sure in a group like a race situation, you've got cyclists all over every side of you, front, back. I focus on control, control. How where are my hands? I mean, it's a quick downhill, a quick uphill, but I'm thinking control the bike, control the bike, control the bike, because all it takes is one misrotation, one look to the side, and all of a sudden I'm not in control of what's in front of me. Y'all take advantage of staying focused on what you're doing when you're going downhill, especially in a group of cyclists and you're going uphill. Some people are going to start to go a little bit slower because they're pedaling harder just to get that incline. Some people are very well seasoned at extra rotations to keep their speed and their pace as even as possible. And I think Victor may want to address this, but y'all stay in control of you and your bike and stay mentally focused when you're in a pack like that, because that's a lot of times where a lot of your accidents and crashes can occur and cause some major injuries and take you out of take you out of the event and future events because of the injuries that have to be rehabilitated. So I'm like Victor address that a little bit, and then I want him to talk a little bit about the run, the transition to the run, and any suggestions he might have um to do that effectively and get ready to get those legs under you again when you're running.
Absolutely. So on the bike, the difference with a triathlon and other cycling races is that triathlons, especially Ironman, they don't allow drafting.
Right,
No,
exactly.
you have to keep a certain distance. So the chances of piling up are a little bit less, but there's
Okay.
still in the quarter lane race, there's a section where you're not going to be allowed to pass. So
Oh, okay.
keeping
Okay.
that in mind, that if you're approaching a person that's slow, you want to make sure you pass them before you get to that non-passing section, so that they don't
Okay.
keep you in a really small and you give up a lot of time because now you're behind somebody who's very slow and you're not allowed to pass them. And then if you do
Okay.
pass them, you're risking being disqualified or the safety, because they're doing it because of safety.
Right,
Sometimes
right, right.
the steepness of the hill.
Okay,
Mm,
okay. So that's a great suggestion. I wouldn't have thought that because y'all, I haven't done a triathlon in competitively. So these kind of rules and regulations are something that I'm learning just as well as y'all are. When I cycle, I'm with friends and we just, car up, biker up, we coming on your left. We're very conscientious on how we're passing or riding together or passing people on either side of us coming and going. Um, Courtesy factors obviously are big, but knowing that these rules do exist in a race type of situation, be aware of them before you get on the bike for that first event that you're doing. Because if you're not supposed to draft, and I think everybody knows what drafting is, basically, if Victor wants to describe it, I'll let him go ahead and give you the definition of drafting on the bike.
Drafting is just being really behind somebody else or on the side, and they're actually pulling you.
Right,
They're taking all the wind resistance, and you're coasting. It makes it a lot easier for the person behind,
right.
and it's a huge difference. It's a big
Mhm.
advantage. But the reason they do it is also a safety reason.
Right.
Triathlon bikes, you have aero bars, and that's what I've been told anyway. That's why they don't allow drafting, is because if there's a pile up with those aero bars, they're
Right.
like little horns on a bull. If you
Yes,
scratch,
yes,
they're gonna hit and injure somebody. That's what I
yeah.
was told. That's the reason why they don't allow drafting.
Well,
Mm.
I think too, on those certain areas on a race route where there's no passing, that's gonna be some of your curves, correct? Would that be some of your curves or your more narrow parts
Yeah,
of the route?
and
Okay,
it happens. They still pile up in certain, because people get out of the water about the same time. The
okay,
number is huge. You're not gonna prevent from little bit of groups piling together at certain turns.
okay,
I wouldn't
okay,
make a big deal about it. What they don't want is, once you get a flat area, long time, you don't want to stick behind somebody
okay.
else. Or even worse, if you're with somebody else that you're in pairs, they're not going to let you do that.
Right.
It's
So
side by
y'all, these are some key points that if you're a beginner and you're not having a coach help you with some of these, that's an experienced triathlon coach or experienced triathlon participant. Y'all, make yourself learn as much as you can so that you don't get injured, that you don't cause an injury to somebody else, and that you can control and finish your race,
Yeah,
right?
and
Because that's what you're training for.
attend the orientation too. I would.
Definitely,
That's where they go
definitely.
over all the rules. Anything,
Good.
because things can change at the last minute. On the swim last time I was in a Coeur d'Alene Ironman, they shortened the race. Instead of doing, I think, 1,900 yards, um,
Excuse me,
they cut it down to 400 because of the wind.
because of the wind. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. The one little relay I was going to be doing with my two brothers years ago, I was going to swim. It was a mile swim, open water in Lake Pontchartrain in New Orleans. It was so rocky, so bumpy with on the shoreline with the rocks that they were moving the dot, the entrance, but it was unsafe because of
Waves.
the waves, and the kayaks couldn't stay in, so they didn't want the participants in. So what we did, what the race directors did, I was going to do the swim. One brother was going to do the 25-mile bike, and one brother was going to do the 10K run. So what they did is all the swimmers ran 2 miles. So that we got back to transition. My brother took off on his bike. He got back. My brother took off on the 10K run. So the swimmers, there was no swim. You ran 2 miles or walked 2 miles, whatever you wanted to do. And there were a lot of relay teams. So for me, that was actually kind of easier because
Yeah.
I wasn't versed in open water swimming so much. And I had my brother's wetsuit, which I had only practiced in once. It was too big for me, but it was going to be relatively fun for us more than it was competitive. So you have to be ready for anything. You
Yeah.
have to be ready for anything to change on the spur of the moment, and for cancellations. I think a lot of, I don't know about Ironman, but it's got to be pretty bad conditions for them to cancel or change
It
the
happens.
race.
Uh,
Yes,
it's pretty sad because people travel from far away to do certain
right,
races. But I've seen
right,
them, and my sister was in one of them. I think it was Lake Tahoe. There
right,
were
right,
fires going on,
Right.
and but they didn't know, should we not, and people are in the water ready for the race, and at the very last minute they said nope, it's unsafe.
Right.
People were crying, a lot of people were crying that
Yeah, because you've trained so long for that. Let's address the transition from the bike to the run, because I know that's the last part of it, and then we'll get to our finish line. What suggestion, excuse me, do you have in that transition?
in rehearsal that you have everything ready. You want to knock off as much time as possible on the transition because there's a lot of people that take a lot of time, and that's time that you could have been advancing on your run. The run
Right.
should be very quick because what you do is you bring your bike, you rack it, you take off your helmet, and you put on your run and you take off your cleats from the bike, put on your running shoes, put on your running hat, and off you go.
Take
That
off.
should take you half the time that it does from the swim to the bike.
Okay.
Bike to the run should be about, I would say, at least half the time. It's
Yeah.
very quick, and off you go.
Right,
Mm,
because you're dropping everything off. You're not running with the whole bike, right? You're not running with the whole backpack. But
right.
also too, remember in the rehearsal, if you're doing that half marathon or you're doing that marathon part of your Ironman, your nutrition and your hydration are going to be set up in your transition. So you want to start getting that in you, whatever you need to prepare for that run, or if you have any kind of waist belt or pack that you're carrying, have it ready to go. Grab something to drink. Obviously, Victor can advise you a little bit more on that. You don't want to overhydrate at the beginning of that run because you got to get your legs under you. You got to get your belly ready to move in that particular type of formation. And when your belly is over full of water because you've overhydrated, there is nothing more uncomfortable than running with a full belly, correct?
Right. Right,
Because
and
you're sloshing.
exactly. And I recommend to my clients that they run off the bike as much as possible, even if it's just for 5 minutes,
Okay,
even if you're not scheduled for a brick run, but still, every time you run, every time you bike, go for a little run. Get those
right.
legs used to, get your body used to running off the bike.
Okay,
And
good,
on
good.
race day, about a quarter mile, half a mile uh, to the transition is you want to have a low gear and spin those legs. Get them used,
Okay,
get them ready
okay,
for the run. That's the way you get them to the run. Instead of coasting, or maybe just having them still spin those
okay,
legs because that loosen them up,
okay,
getting them ready to the thing. The other thing is if you can stretch your back, stretch
okay,
back so you've been on aero a lot, so right
okay,
before you're getting ready to that transition, get that stretched
okay.
back, get those legs loose.
And do a little stretching while you're getting ready. Just get it all ready to rock and roll. The other thing I'm going to mention to y'all is a lot of people will wear shoes that are straight or slip-ons and not ties. Have you ever noticed that being a problem, Victor? Or do you just take that extra 20 to 30 seconds, get them double knotted, triple knotted, whatever, and just get take off and go?
No, mine are actually the ones that you don't have to tie them.
Okay,
Just-
okay.
I slip them on and then I pull it.
That's it. The little pull tie. Yeah,
Yeah,
right, right.
that saves you time.
Okay,
Again, everybody's different. It depends on your goals. With Crystal, she's trying to make the cutoff times, so we're gonna shave as many minutes as possible on the transitions because that's free energy.
right,
Um, as long as she does it in a not in a rushed way, but
right.
rehearsed in a way that it cuts time off.
Right. And you're comfortable. Once you rehearse it, you're much more comfortable. It becomes almost intuitive if you rehearse it enough. Okay, I'm off my bike. Here goes my helmet. I'm grabbing off my visor or my cap. I've got my new glasses. I've got my water bottle. I've got my waist belt with my hydration and nutrition. Slipping into my shoes. Pull that tie or double knot them, whatever it is you do. You are intuitively doing it because it's almost routine in your mind how it's being done because you've rehearsed it. And that's key. That's key. That way you can tweak anything that doesn't work for you when you really want to cut a little bit of time and be even more efficient.
Yeah.
Okay, we're now down to our half marathon run. What would you suggest about doing the running? Get your legs under you. How do you develop that kind of cadence pattern? How do you develop that smoothness just to get into the pattern of comfort and I guess the ease and efficiency of the run? What would you suggest? Obviously, cadence counting is one of the big things I could think of.
Yes, cadence counting, and by the time you get to the race, you should know the exact pace that you're going to be
Okay.
sustaining.
Okay.
So it's not going to be your standalone race pace, because
Okay.
a lot of runners who that's their main thing. They think they can keep up the same pace they do a standalone half marathon as they do after bike. It's going to be a little bit slower, but by now you should have um, a good idea of what pace you can sustain for
Right.
13 and a
Okay.
half. And when in doubt, go slower for the first half. You can always speed up, but you can't go too fast because then you'll be out of energy and
Right.
by that time it's too late. So
Right.
I would veer in the side of caution where you're trying to do a
Right.
negative split.
Right.
And a
Right.
negative split is just doing the first half slower than the second half.
And really, the key to that, y'all, is when your body is comfortable in the motion and you've got that rhythm going, that's when you can start thinking about, okay, I ran a 10-minute mile. I'm down, I now have 6 more miles to go. I'm halfway through that half marathon. How do I want to do my negative splits? Because obviously I'm now in a comfortable, the finish line is close. The concept in your brain is I only have 5 miles left. I only have a 10K left. Really, that's the training part of the mindset as well. So that's where you can start thinking about I can pick it up a little bit, maybe cut 10 seconds, pick it up a little bit, maybe cut 5 seconds. Y'all, that's the beauty of challenging yourself, even at that portion of your event. And that's where
Yes.
you're going to find your negative splits. Do most people that you find seasoned Ironman triathletes, do most of them find the negative splits in the second half of their half marathon or marathon? Do you find that
Yeah.
that happens a lot? Okay.
Yeah, I think the experience ones know exactly that they know they have to take the slower part of the first half and then
Right.
accelerate.
Right.
And at the very least, they can probably do.
Hello. It's not me.
No, that's mine. At the very least, they can go ahead and do a an even, where they
Okay. Like an
even
even
splits,
split.
but
Okay.
erring for the side of I'm going to take it super slow in the first half and start accelerating as I go on the second half.
Right. That's one thing I always did in my half marathons and marathons is I would really try to train smart enough to have a lot left in the second half to start cutting time. And one of my keys was I wasn't cadence counting. I haven't learned that until meeting Victor and starting to do that with what I do now, which was not the kind of training I did in my younger years of competition. But the beauty of what I did is I would start to then decrease my pace on the run. And the closer I got to mile markers, I would pick up the pace. Then I'd allow myself a little bit of breathing room and then do it again for the next mile. So it was constantly cutting a little bit of time per mile. And it's just a balance that I found when I had a goal for the finish line. So, whatever method you use, y'all, make sure that you pace yourself in your training, rehearse it in your journey of your training so that the day of the race, it's very comfortable and very intuitive. And that's
Absolutely.
part of the stuff that Victor's been helping y'all learn today on the Ironman. So, any final conclusive thoughts that you'd like to give to everybody as they're getting into their Ironman and triathlon seasoning? Because everything is really starting to fire on the number of events that are taking place.
No, it's just consistency.
Okay.
If you're having a hard time getting motivated, uh, get yourself in the triathlon club. Um, get yourself a coach, whatever's going to help you stay consistent till race day, because it
Perfect.
does help having friends and
Mhm.
learning from them and just holding each other accountable. That
Right.
helps a great deal.
It does. It really does. And y'all, I think the biggest thing too, because we're getting ready to sign out now. Good luck to all of y'all who are training for your events. I know there's lots of things scheduled all over the country, all over the globe right now. And if you're training for that big major experience of your lifetime and you've worked really hard, any questions you have and you have time to send them to us, make sure you do that. Victor's got a lot of information on the open water swimming that he can share with you. He can respond to your questions. Between the running and the biking, we can both address that. Him probably a little bit more in the Ironman type of cycling, me more on the training side of that. The mindset, the nutrition, the hydration, the motivation. Please let us know what you need so that we can contact you, address it with you, and hopefully get you on that journey to success and to breaking that tape at your event. It's going to be wonderful. And finish line, arms up, raise.
Yay.
All right, I am going to bow out, my friend. I think you've
Me
got to too.
too.
You've got a training session to go to, and I've got an event to go work. Um, any questions, y'all? All the information will be at the bottom. Still contact me with a direct message or my email that Victor's going to put. I'll be sending you some new information probably in the next week or two. I've got the Run Daily, Cycle Daily, Swim Daily, Important Daily of the Year person, whatever it is, coming up real soon on my website. It's just about finished. So I'll be sending all that to y'all real soon. So,
Yeah.
Victor,
All
my
right, guys.
friend,
Thank you for
love
tuning
y'all.
in. We'll keep you updated on the race to the Ironman. And like
Perfect.
Dell said, if you have any questions, I'll put the way to contact us on the footnotes. So
Perfect.
till next time, guys, stay triumphant.
Have fun. Take care, everybody, and good luck in your training and any races y'all have coming up. Take care. See y'all soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.